starting to build a product in 2006
Sure.
to finally selling one really,
I think
really
it
good
takes,
one in 2018.
So I generally, basically you can say 2017 December, but publicly we announced in March. I generally tell people, if somebody says, how to become founder, I always tell them, ready for 3 iterations and ready for 10 years.
Welcome to Ofofo Studio. My guest for today is Vijay Rayapati. Vijay is co-founder and CEO at Atomic Work. It's a modern service management company. What makes service management modern, Vijay?
Yeah, I think as you run business, as you grow, a lot of processes have to be managed, created, managed, and optimized.
Okay.
Like your IT processes, HR processes, finance processes, any back office processes. So
Right.
we are the solution that helps businesses automate their work, so their employees can focus on actually doing the work for customer.
Right. How did you reach this point? Why did you think this was a good problem for you to solve?
So we all, I always build companies, but I never built. So one thing, I enjoyed companies when they were like few hundred people, and I always felt they become like very complex when they got to few thousand people. The reason is when you are few hundred people, people are running the company. When you are few thousand people, the process is running the company.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we basically felt there has to be a better way of doing this internal process management and workflows and automation. So it does not take the joy out of work, right? Everything is like, oh, it's because of the process. You go talk to person A, then person B, person C to get anything done.
Yeah.
So we basically thought we should left shift as much automation to employees as possible.
Right.
So that they can actually cut the chase, get to the work as quickly as possible. It kind of something that we learned in the process of building companies, scaling them, and then working in companies with thousands of people.
Wow. So, like when you're talking about smaller companies, right, and smaller teams even, the relationships tend to be more human. And that becomes more and more process driven as the size of the team increases. How do you ensure that that human element does not get lost?
Yeah, it's a great question, very complex one. So I think startups start, growth comes, growth brings complexity, and complexity necessitates process.
Absolutely.
And the process slows down the company and the companies die. So that's a cycle. So if you really want to, keep the company very humane, one is, obviously focus a lot on culture.
Right.
And cut the bureaucracy. And I think as founders, initially we will be waging war externally to solve a problem, change the status quo, against an incumbent. But as we become big, the war that we need to fight is internal.
Correct.
Which is, how do you simplify, right? So they basically say, seed a company, grow a company, scale a company. The next phase of that is simplify your company.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can simplify things, I think you can still hold the joy. But generally, I'm not a big fan of companies more than 10,000 people. I really hope with AI, we can create like really, really big companies with few hundred to few thousand people. Yeah.
So when you started working for companies that you work with, were they larger companies or were they smaller companies? And how did you notice that there was a clear difference?
Yeah. So I think, so as I said, in a small companies, so mostly I have done startups. So I never worked for a big company. So
what was your first company? What was your first? Let's back up again. What were you educated in? And what were your competencies that you were able to identify as a kid?
So I think most Indians of 80s, right? I got into engineering, right? And so when I got into engineering, I basically said, okay, I need to study computer science.
Right.
Because I was always fascinated, and there was a math teacher in my school who said, computers are going to be a big thing, you should study computer science. So I really thought he's a very smart guy. And I was like, okay, I'll go do computer science. So when I joined, the whole crash happened. Nobody was taking computer science. That's how I got computer science. It's not like I was very studious or a merit student.
Okay.
Just because that year, the whole 2000 crash happened and nobody was taking computer science, right? Everybody thought computers crashed. There is no future. So I said, okay, let me go study computer science. And I started making some money when I was in college, mostly writing code for my seniors and friends who went to US to do, masters, PhD.
Nice.
They have to do assignments. So initially I used to do it for free, and eventually they started offering, hey, I'll give you $50, $100. So I made some money. And then I came to Bangalore, and I was like, okay, I need to start a company. So
you did not start with a job.
No. So I basically took a job. I took a job with a good company, and I don't want to name them.
Sure.
And I think 6 months I was there. 2 months was training, 2-3 months, and they wanted me to automate some 50 web services. So they said, take the entire year. Every week you have to automate one web service.
Yeah.
So then I found one open source tool called WSDL to Java, so which is basically web service description language. If you define it, if you run this tool, it will generate the client stub, server stub, the entire code for you.
Got it.
So I kind of completed it like in 1 month or so. After that I went to the project manager and I said, okay, I'm done with it. Why don't you give me new work? Yeah. So he said, oh, but we told the client it's a 1-year work. So, you have to be on this project. I was like, dude, this is not what I signed up for. So I just left and came to Bangalore.
Good on you. But a lot of people would still stick around, right? I mean, if it's getting done early, you have 11 months to yourself. No,
yeah,
that did not entice you.
Yeah, I think most of us think, right? If we have free time, we enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is true to an extent. But if you have a lot of free time, you get bored. I'm one of those people. I might enjoy vacation for 3 days. But in a 5th day, I'm like, okay, I have to go back to work, right? And maybe I can enjoy it for 5 days, but I can't stand it beyond 7 days, right? So it's like super hard for me to be away from action.
Sorry. Yeah. So in a few months, you were out of this company. And what year is this?
That was in 2006.
2006. After that, what did you do?
So I came to Bangalore. Okay. I was basically thought, okay, every restaurant has desktop computer. And Google was a thing.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut started doing deliveries on moped. I'm like, let's try doing online food ordering. So in Bangalore, and there used to be companies. Not many people know. There used to be companies back then trying to do online food ordering in Bangalore, right? So we were like
just directories. I don't think anyone.
Yeah. No. Actually, there were companies who basically where you can book a table. I mean, it's a directory. You can book a table.
Yeah.
And you can go to a restaurant, you can even order food, right? So because the genesis for us was, hey, Pizza Hut is already doing the delivery.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood, you call the number, you tell the address,
right.
They come and deliver the pizza. So they were doing this in 2006, by the way. And we were like, why don't we do this for Indian, the food, right? Just like an engineer, we were like, okay, let's build a review site, let's build a restaurant site, let's build a booking site, let's build an order site. You just do too much of product.
Yeah.
And taking payments was a very hard problem back then.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you a funny story. In 2006, if you want to collect payments, 2007, if you want to collect payments in India, you have to do a deposit. So you have to tell the card processor how much you want to collect. Let's say you say 5 lakhs a month.
Okay.
He will say, first you put 5 lakhs deposit, then I'll give you API access.
Oh my God.
It used to be that bad, And the rates were insane. It's like 5% to credit card to, 3% for debit card to, 2.5% or something for net banking.
Yeah.
And most banks didn't had a proper net banking APIs. There was even in back then, to India's credit, there were 2 payment processor. One guy didn't even spoke to us. One guy spoke and said, how much you guys want to collect? We said 5 lakhs a month. They said, okay, then you put a 5 lakhs deposit so that we give you access, right? So because we don't know, the risk and, whatever, right? And
so when you say we, it was you and?
I had a bunch of people, I had a couple of college juniors and some friends. So they all thought I'm a very smart guy. He will start a company, make it really big. But we crashed it in a year.
Okay. Which brings me to another thing. How do you share your vision with people who think can help you? In this case.
Yeah.
In this case, you did not have a lot of backing to yourself.
Yeah.
It was just fresh out of college yourself. Yeah. But you were able to convince a team to build something that was incredibly futuristic, if I may say.
Actually, the worst thing was one guy dropped out of college. That still haunts me. Thinking, he's going to build a big company, So let me just drop out of college and, go join this guy. Yeah. But I think generally, we are attracted to some people, right. Even I'm attracted to people, whom I find as smart, can reason through things. Yeah. I think I had a few good friends, and they were like, for some reason or other, I'm not really smart, but they used to think I'm smart. Sometimes at least
Relative.
If other people think you're smart, they think, okay, maybe he knows, right? Even though nobody knows, right?
Yeah. So, so that company, how long did you run it for?
I think a little over a year. But so then in the process, we had to do some projects to sustain ourselves. There was no concept of angel investors, or VC. There were a few people.
But it wasn't.
And I met people, they're like, oh, you're not from IIT, and you should probably go to IIM and do some course. Not really, whatever MBA, but like do some course, learn about business, software is a hard business. People used to say that. I used to think writing code is the easiest thing. And that's not the hardest thing. But just to look back and see, how far we have come as an ecosystem, even in Bangalore, it's amazing. Just like, 19 years? I think it's been phenomenal.
All right. So, what were your takeaways from the failure of the first business?
Don't do too much. Don't build too many products. Right? Yeah. And company is not code. So I think for a company to succeed, you need to get a product, you need to go to market, you need to get business, you need to get like a lot of things right. Correct. And but it was a great learning experience, getting an office in Malleshwaram and buying computers from SP Road to getting in a person, not even interior person, somebody who can just put glasses and create cabins. I think that was like a really fun. And even the guy who rented that building to us, a small floor of building in Malleshwaram, said, are you sure you want to do a company? Because you all look very young.
Yeah. So after that, what happened after that?
I did some consulting work to make some money. And obviously, I lost all my money during that. Doing that. And I worked for Trilogy and I made some money from them. Nice. It was good money. And then I went back and joined one startup, So I thought I need to learn marketing because I know how to write code. But, somebody said, oh, if you want to build a company, you really need to do marketing. Then I became a social media marketing guy in 2009.
Really?
Yeah. So I did social media marketing for a whole bunch of brands, actually really good brands.
Wow.
Because that thing was taking off in 2008 and 9. So I kind of become like a social media marketing manager. So nice. I used to call myself as a SMM pro, social media marketing pro. Okay. So I went and joined the startup saying, okay, I will do the marketing for you. Then I realized, shit, the product doesn't work. They don't know how to build the product. So then I became a CTO of that startup.
So you joined as a social media marketer and became the CTO.
CTO of that company.
Because that's the weirdest rise I've seen.
Even the founder knew that I was a very tech guy. So he himself, Amit, went to CMU. And, he's not a very tech guy. He's a good business and product kind of a guy. So we're doing this social media profile company. So if you had like multiple accounts, bring all of those accounts into one page. Was the concept, gives a page, that's why we used to call it, and we created it. Then we figured out, okay, there is no money in it. Then we started doing social analytics, what people are talking about your brand, because that time like a lot of the user-generated content started happening on 2009, 10, 11.
Oh, okay.
A lot of user-generated content used to happen, like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Posters, Delicious. I can't even I forgot most of them, right? We sold to some people, we had a reasonable team. I think we grew to like 25 people or so. But what we figured out was, when you want to sell this, the brands always used to send us to agencies. And the agencies are like mafia, they don't, they'll basically say, you can't tell customer how much I charge. Absolutely. Why should I take this? I'll probably use something else. But I already have a team to track brand sentiment. Why should I deploy your software? It was like just a nightmare, and so eventually the company really didn't work out, business-wise, but it was a really good product, I think I would say it is one of the first generation SaaS products, from the country, and then the team and me went and joined Coolisa, where I became a CTO in 2011.
What did you do in Pleaser?
I was just writing code, taking meetings. And so I think the company was services company. Everybody advised me, don't go to services company.
Right.
And I basically said, I don't think the startups know how to do things, but the services guy seems to be making money.
Yeah.
Let me go learn few things from them, right? How to sell and whatnot. So that was the genesis. And I had a good ride. So I was just there for like 2 years. But I did like a lot of fun things there. Engineers were very dissatisfied in the company.
Right.
So the first thing I did was get a RAM upgrade for all the engineers in the company. So they have fast computers. Then I got like battery upgrades, in the laptops. And
this guy thinks like us.
Then they were like, initially they were like, hey, this guy looks young, and should we have him as a CTO or not? And obviously there were some skeptics. So there were, one of the guy was there, Rohit, I think his name. He runs one startup now out of Jaipur or some place in North. So he was working on some code for mobile monitoring using Android, and there was a bug that used to crash it, and they were really struggling to fix it. So luckily, I helped him fix it. So he thought he's a very smart guy. Then he started spreading stories saying, he's a very smart guy, don't mess with him. And then I think I had a lot of fun in 2 years. So one project was really mess. The customer rejected it, saying, it's a shit project. Then I told the team we can rewrite this project, in like a couple of weeks. They're like, what are you saying? We spent 3 months on it. And there was one engineer, Vaibhav Saini. He said, I will sign up for it if you also write code along with me.
Nice.
Right? Not when you say, okay, we need to rewrite in a week, but you go. So that was really good experience. I think we stayed in a conf kind of a room for probably 10 days to 2 weeks. We almost rewrote most of it.
Wow.
And then went back and gave it to customer.
Was you leading from the front?
Obviously there are people, I was also contributing and helping, but it was really fun. I think after that everybody accepted in that company that, okay, he's CTO, don't mess with this guy.
Yeah. So, you did the opposite of what most people do, right? Most people go down the services path, realize that it is becoming a people problem because, too many people, that's the only way you scale. And then they understand, okay, it's better to just automate certain things, make a product out of it, and then sell it. What was it like when you were doing the opposite?
So I think, the good thing is when we were building product, there was no customer stressing you out.
Right.
When you're doing services, every day customer is stressing you out, right? I think the good thing at services company, what I learned was, this is not like a typical services company. They used to only do product engineering for other companies, right? In the process, we tried building products, to credit of some people there, and we experimented with like a bunch of products. Should we build a social commerce product? Should we build a monitoring product? Should we build a, IT monitoring product, things. But look, services companies are services companies, right? Customer escalation moves everybody to just focus on that problem, right?
Correct.
And then I told the founder of that company, Anand, he's a close and very dear friend. And said, dude, I don't think this company goes anywhere. I'm planning to leave and start a company, and maybe we together can do this, right? And then we were tinkering with, some of the cloud-based automation ideas. So that time public cloud was taking off.
Okay.
And so me, Anand, Prashant, bunch of us left and started Minjar.
Okay. What was Minjar all about?
So Minjar was a cloud management company, right?
Okay.
So that's what basically, it went through a couple of iterations. So initially we did consulting to make money, to fund the product. And but we built a pretty good product. Actually, it was one of the most popular cloud management platforms, in 2015 and 16 and 17, until its acquisition in 2018 by Nutanix. We basically built it, which allows engineers manage their cloud operations. They can monitor for cost, security compliance, then they can do automation jobs using it. Right? So as an engineer, you can just don't need to worry about managing your cloud infrastructure, automation, security compliance around it. So the software will do it, and you can just focus on your application. Was the thesis.
This product would have been pretty novel for that time, right?
Very novel.
Now there are a lot like these. But
I think that time, so the reason we bet on it quite a bit was, I have built, software. I knew how hard it was to build things, before cloud, right? I work for Trilogy, and to do some data processing of millions of records, we have to build a distributed file system. But when cloud was there, we know that, put it into S3, everything works. So don't worry about it, just focus on business logic, right? So I was a big believer that the cloud will take off, right? As a developer, obviously I didn't expect it to take off as much as it took off, but I thought, man, it's so cool, right? Now I don't need to build a distributed file system, right? If I need to do a really complex thing, I can just push, put and get, and just do my work. And then cloud started launching lots of services, tracking services, managing services, configuring services, scaling those services, taking backups of those services. It became a complex thing, right? So initially we started doing monitoring. Then we said, monitoring is we have to install agent. Maybe we'll pivot towards agentless architecture. That's where we went into the cloud management without having an agent sitting in your VMs kind of an architecture.
Nice. Yeah. And you sold this to Nutanix in 2018?
Yeah, in March 2018.
How was that conversation? Like, how did they come to you and they were like...
So it's I was in US, so I just met the founder through a common, one of the angel in Nutanix and one of the angel in Minjar. I think they went to business school together, so they got together. And they thought, what we are doing is very interesting for Nutanix. So they connected me to founder Dheeraj. He's a great guy. I met him, and then we really liked each other, and the whole thing happened.
So what was it like, successfully finding closure to one of your projects? Or maybe you worked on it after that too? I'm not sure.
So I worked on it for quite some time. After that, I was at Nutanix for 4+ years running. That business for a long time, and then networking and security business as well.
Yeah, so starting to build a product in 2006 to finally selling one really
I think it takes
one in 2018.
Yeah. So I generally, basically you can say 2017 December, but publicly we announced in March. I generally tell people, if somebody says, I want to become founder, I always tell them, ready for 3 iterations and ready for 10 years, right? And the reason is, math is against success for startups, right? So most of us know that most startups don't succeed. Okay. Despite that, each one of us who start a startup think our startup will succeed, other guy's startup will fail. In reality, look, it's a probability. So most startups don't succeed, right? If everything succeeds, then it's not a startup,
True.
Maybe we have to come up with something else, right? So I was, I knew that, startups are, hard, they're not going to succeed. But I think the first version, I learned technology is not enough. Second iteration, I learned product is not enough. Third iteration, I learned business is not enough, right? So if I have to frame it, I would frame it that way, right? So I think the first experiment is like, okay, just knowing tech is not enough. Second iteration is knowing product is not enough. Third iteration is business is not enough. You have to really build a big, in software, if you really want to build a great company, it has to be a really big business. It can't be like a few $1 million business. Yeah.
So, are you the kind who would measure success by that? Were you satisfied with your work? Did you take a break? What happened after?
No, I think I didn't take a break. In between, I went for Vipassana. Like, I was one of the youngest guy. I think I went for Vipassana in 2011.
Are you spiritually?
No. Spiritually in the sense, I'm like most Indians. We pray to God when there is a problem. We forget, the God when, everything is cool, right? So, but jokes apart, I'm not really a religious guy per se. But like when I was a kid, I went to temple, I went to church. I did all stuff, right? But I just went to Vipassana because I was like a little feeling sad.
Why?
Like in 2011, I was like, oh fuck man, I gave my 5 years, nothing happened. What should I do? And then somebody said, go to Vipassana, you'll find an answer. I was like, okay, let me go to Vipassana. So I think Vipassana for people, I think most people know now, is the complete silence, right? No mobile, nothing. You don't talk to anyone. It's 11-day first time, 11 to 13 days first time. And I went there. Day 1, I was like, fun. Right? Day 2 was okay. Day 3, I started crying. I'm like, oh fuck man, why did I come here? Then I think day 4 or 5, I went to the teacher and said, I want to go back.
You can say stuff?
I think you can speak to the teacher if you have a problem, just for like, a couple of minutes. I went and said, I want to go back. He said, kid, you are very young. If you don't do this now, in life, you can never do it. If you do this now, maybe it will help you. So I think it was a good experience just to get time to reflect. And then I was like, hey, I studied computer science, I studied math. I know that most startups are not supposed to be successful. So I should not feel bad that my startups didn't become successful, right? I mean, I could have done that reasoning without going to Vipassana, but in Vipassana, I had a lot of time. So you generally reason, right? What I could have done better. One day you think about life, one day you think about product, one day you think about family, one day you think about college, one day you think about your stupid decisions. I mean, like a lot of random things, right? I think it's a good thing, if somebody has time and you really want to reason through problems that are bothering you, I think go into complete silence for like a week or 10 days. I think it just gives you time, space to think through and reason through things.
Got it. So you first went for it in 2011. And then you went for it again in 2018.
No, 2013 I went. 13 I went. Then after that I think I stopped doing this 11 days one. I did like once 3 days one, and now I do it when I want to go into light. I do it when I want to go to sleep. It's a bad way of actually using Vipassana. So yes, because I travel a lot. Even like before Nutanix, even after Nutanix, even now. I think every month I'm mostly out except COVID years for 2 weeks. Outside the country, right? And because travel is a lot, I think Vipassana really helps me, go to sleep, even though it is for you to, get into a state of awareness, I use it or abuse it as a technique to fall asleep quickly. When I cannot sleep because of jet lag. And
it relaxes your mind.
Quite a bit. For a fast brain, or like founder's brain is typically like, you're thinking about too many things, right? Because while we are smart, we are also dumb in a way, founders, because we think about too many things.
This is very frequent context switching, right? It's hard.
So I think Vipassana is a great technique to, use and apply.
So 2018, you sold the company. And now you understand that. Did you feel there was a void, or did you just like it was normal?
No, so I was in two minds. I was thinking, should I sell the company or not sell the company? And I actually refused selling the company multiple times. It's not like Nutanix was the first guys who wanted to acquire the company. I think every year.
Why did you say no?
So every year, after we started Minjar, there was an acquisition offer. Why? Because the cloud was really taking off, right? Initially when SIs wanted to acquire us, then other product companies wanted to acquire, like a lot of discussions happened. And I think in 2016, we had to raise money. And that time also I had an option to sell the company. But so Anand, my co-founder, was like negotiating with investors to see, how we can raise capital. And I was negotiating with this company saying, how can we do the deal, right? For some reason, I was thinking, okay, $20 million, I'll sell the company. And but those guys were struck on 18 million, 1.8, and but we raised money at 11 million, right? Even though we had an option to sell it at 18, I just didn't want it to, say. I was like, okay, every year somebody is asking, maybe if you work for a few more years, the value accumulation might happen, right? And in 2017 also, I thought, I should not sell. Because we were doing well, we were growing, we were acquiring customers, and it was a good thing. Cloud is taking off. There is quite a bit of tailwind. And so I almost thought of saying no to. I think I said no to Nutanix first offer. I was like, why don't we just do partnership? Why do we need to do acquisition? All those things. But Sharad Sharma, who now runs Iceparet, and Sharad basically told me, Vijay, how many companies got acquired from India in B2B SaaS? I said, maybe a lot. He said, no, there are very few. And he said, what's the biggest acquisition before your acquisition? Less than $20 million. Right? He said for an ecosystem to mature, people have to build big companies, and also have to sell companies, also have to prove that you can make money, your employees can make money. So there is a positive cycle.
Makes sense,
He said, for God's sake, don't refuse the offer they're giving.
For other people,
So he actually, he literally said that, for God's sake, do the deal. And he was right, at that point, because when I sold Minjar, that was probably the biggest B2B SaaS exit in 2017 timeframe, right? There were less than 20 companies from India doing more than $3 to $5 million in 2017. Yeah, there were like less than 20 companies. I think not even 20, maybe 10 companies.
Really?
Right? Yeah, not even like 5 million. Like there were like less than 10 companies, B2B SaaS companies, doing $5+ million in 2017. Right? Now. There are probably 100 companies doing more than $10 million, from India, right? Maybe $25 million. I think the scale is just accelerating,
So do you think it was a good idea to sell it off?
So I think every founder goes through that emotion. Sometimes you think it's a smart idea you sold. Sometimes you think it's a dumb idea you sold. I think a lot of times I was basically like, look, I'm making this choice for me, because I have worked for like almost 11, 12 years, right? when my classmates were flying business class, buying cars, buying villas,
You were
I was like grinding, right? Even like in Minjar, I think for a year or two, I didn't even used to have a car. I used to come in auto, right? And I mean, like once engineers were making fun of me and said, we will all pool money and buy you a car, right? And I was like, okay. So, so because I think entrepreneurship requires a delayed gratification for a really long time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then it's very hard for you to, be very focused, right?
Also, it requires you to be frugal.
Yeah, it requires quite frugal, right? Yeah. There are times when I stayed in literally like a one bed, not even one bedroom,
What was that shift like in your life? Did it change anything?
I think it will change. See, are you asking this from what perspective? Are you asking this from a monetary perspective? Are you asking this from a work perspective?
No, I'm saying now that one problem is taken care of.
Sure.
The monetary aspect
Sure.
is solved. So
Right.
now you can build without caring for the monetization of that, of anything.
Yeah.
So now you can truly do what you really want to.
Yeah.
So were you truly doing what you wanted to anyway, and it did not change? Or did it change? Now, okay, now I was building for customers then, I'm building something for myself now.
Yeah, I think I'll basically tell you this way, right? See, 2013, somebody, I think, offered us $6 to $8 million for Minjar.
Okay.
Early 2014, 2013 late and 2014 early. By the way, in 2013, 6-7 million, where you have not raised external capital, is a pretty good outcome. It's a super small team, right? We said no. And we had an opportunity to take $5 million into company as a funding.
Okay.
Me and Anand basically thought, it's a bad idea, right? What do we do with so too much money? Right?
So was it just two co-founders?
No. Me, Anand and Prashant, actually three of us. And in between, after a few years, Prashant left, etc.
So were you always aligned on this perspective of yours? Or was
No,
it a
I
shared
think,
perspective?
it's a shared perspective, right? I think we had a pretty good team.
Right.
I think, in Coolies, I worked for Anand, and I think Minjar, he worked for me.
Nice.
And we were always like, on the same side, right?
Yeah.
Temporarily, we might, look like, okay, we are on the different sides, but if you look at it, generally most co-founders get on the same side,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Because that's what makes them co-founders.
Yeah.
So we had, good run, and the reason, I think Nutanix is a remarkable story, not many people know, right? I think they're still probably one of the rare B2B software companies that got the fastest to $1 billion ARR. It's not a valuation, ARR,
Wow.
right? I think they went IPO in less than 8 years since inception. And it was one of the big IPOs, and even today, they probably trade at, I don't know, like $14-15 billion, right? I think it's a great story. So I heard about them, and I really like the team and the interactions. And I have interacted with a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of executives. I think I saw something special, with those folks, right? There was a mutual respect, mutual admiration. I thought I could do business with them.
Yeah. Did you feel
yeah, it was good. I never regretted, after selling it. Actually, the funny thing is we sold to Nutanix for few millions less. We could have made another $4-5 million if we had sold to another company, because me and Anand had a breakfast with this other company which wanted to buy us, and the guy is like, oh, tell me whatever your Nutanix offer is, we'll put, we'll match it and we'll beat it, and and you will make more money.
Yeah.
And we still thought, hey, we like those guys, So what's the point of signing up for a few more million, but you don't like the people, and you leave within a year, right? Because most founders don't stick around after acquisition, because it's very hard, right? It's a culture change. You go from taking every decision to now looking up to a committee to approve every budget item for you to whatnot. But I never thought I will last for 4+ years in Nutanix. I thought probably a year or two, but I worked there for 4+ years, almost 4.5 years. Yeah.
And after that, you found
after that, I was basically like, I knew that I had to go back and probably do something. I was thinking, should I do something or should I not do something?
Right.
And I was like, maybe I will do something. And then I met Kiran and Parsu. who had a great run with Freshworks, as a founding team members, from very early days to post IPO.
How did you meet them?
And Kiran is a good friend. Okay. I knew him from ecosystem.
All right.
And through him, I met Parsu. So I really liked, and we thought about retiring. We thought about doing a lot of stupid things. And eventually we were like, okay, we'll do a company.
What was the, were there a lot of ideas that you had to choose from?
So I think, I think not a lot of ideas.
Okay.
See, I generally, so this is how I think, right? See, ideas change, markets change, timing change, technology changes. I think a great team is really, really key.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think we were more focused on assembling a really good team than, hey, should we go solve a DevOps problem? Should we go solve a business ops problem?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Atomic Work is like a business ops thing.
Okay.
For me, Minjar is like a DevOps thing. Nutanix is like an enterprise software. Freshworks was like an SMB software, right? But we basically said, hey, if we build a company, in the process, we create a new playbook, which is you can actually build for mid-market to enterprise software companies, a good software company from India, right? Yeah. Not digital-led, not SMB-led, right? Not inbound-led.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, maybe we should attempt that, right? Rather than saying, okay, I will build, one more SMB software company from India, right? Yeah. So in the process, we basically tinkered around a few ideas. And then we basically said, hey, I think streamlining business operations of a business is really key, because most businesses growth stalls because they just can't simplify their business workflows, right? It looks like a trivial problem, but at scale it's an incredible problem, right? So that's why I think one company which has attempted and has done a really, really good job of this is ServiceNow. So I think they recently crossed 10 billion ARR. I think most people don't even understand what ServiceNow does, right? They don't even know. So I'm a big fan of 3 companies in last 25 years. One front office company called Salesforce, and one middle office company called Atlassian, and one back office company called ServiceNow. Nice. And we were like, I think, we did things in middle office, we did things in front office. I think we should really go to back office. So that was the genesis for Atomic Work.
Yeah, but did the vision change at any point?
I think the vision didn't change, but the approach to execution has changed, right? So we initially thought we'll start with HR workflows.
Okay.
Then we quickly figured out it's probably a better idea to start with IT workflows, right? Because for you to truly do workflows within an enterprise, you need to connect to a lot of different systems. The controller of access to different systems is IT, not HR.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that thing did change. But overall thing of, okay, we need to simplify the workplace experience. In the process, deliver better employee experience and better enterprise productivity. Those things didn't change.
Okay. Are there any other problems that you think about? Like, you're not actively trying to solve them, but like they come to you sometimes.
One problem that bothers me quite a bit is I really want somebody to work on faster flights from Bangalore to Bay Area, because, in last 5 years, taking COVID years out, I slept in hotels for like more than 365 days.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I travel a lot. I think one thing I always feel is when I read history books, if somebody says, okay, I boarded a boat or a ship, it took, like after many, many weeks and months of journey, I finally reached United States, right? I feel like that in the flight. You board, then you sleep. I'm not a guy who can get work done when I'm in the flight. I really think faster travel brings countries together, communities together, and we can do more. Right? Think about it. If you can go in a couple of hours to US, then I can just go do business, come back and be with my kids, right? At least on weekends, right? And so that is one problem that really bothers me. And I really feel there are teams obviously working on Mach 3 travel, Mach 5 level travel, etc. I really hope, because this airline speeds in last 50, 70 years, I think maybe last 50 to 70 years have not really dramatically improved. No. We are still got stuck at whatever that,
there's safety issues, right? The Concorde
but like you could always leapfrog, right? So people thought about safety before airline. Oh my God, it's an issue, right? Yeah. But I think faster travel is a problem that really fascinates me, and I really want a solution. I really hope somebody is working on, a quick travel. I think we can go to Mars later. Let's get to Bay Area faster, right? That would be my ask.
Okay. So what kind of meetings necessitate physical travel? Because a lot of things can be done on Zoom these days, right? So you don't really have to do that.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great thing. So I think certainly COVID has made digital interactions much more seamless, right? Or more familiar to more people. But I genuinely believe, I'm a big believer of meeting people in real life. Right. Okay. I think you can do 10K, 20K, 50K deals. You might do $50 million deal over a video when you are, because there is a lockdown. But humans are never caged animals. I hate, basically not knowing about that person and meeting that person in real life. And so every time, even if I have done 10 meetings with somebody, the 11th time when I meet face to face, I feel like I learn more about them, their taste. I think that just that social interaction makes them learn about you, makes you learn about them, right?
You get a lot of non-verbal cues.
Yeah, quite a bit, right? I think on Zoom, you're looking at face and, they're busy, I'm like, it's just like, I think it's the worst experience. The worst human experience is what we can deliver via, remote. I think the best human experience is what we can deliver in real life. And I'm a big believer. And as I said, we are building for emerging enterprises. These are, scale companies, and, we expect them to pay, $100,000 or $200,000. And they want to know who these people are, etc. So I'm a big believer. So that doesn't mean, look, every meeting you need to show up in person. But it's very important for you to not just know your customer. They say know your customers really well. I say meet your customers really well. And because you learn a lot more.
Absolutely.
Right? You learn about what goes into their life, their work life, and what are their priorities, what are their business priorities, and what is bothering them, what is exciting them, and where they see things going. I think it gives you so much context, as a founder, right? I think founders should get out and meet people.
Right. Talk to as many people as possible.
Yeah, meet meet people. I think I'm a big believer of meeting people in real life.
So am I, hence the show.
So that's why I asked, is this like a Zoom podcast or a real life one?
All right. So it's established that you travel a lot for work.
Yeah.
Do you travel for other things?
I do. So I think these days I do quite a bit.
Okay.
So because I'm traveling, almost like this year, I traveled every month, at least for 10 to 20 days of the month.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
Just this year. So now I have 2 young kids, and I have family, and now I have made a rule that if I travel for a week, we'll go for a one-day vacation, somewhere near in Bangalore or near Bangalore. If I travel for 2 weeks, we'll go for 2 days vacation. If I travel for 3 weeks, we'll go for 3 days vacation, right? So I do travel, right? But as I said, look, I enjoy short travels, of 2 days, 3 days. I think my ideal travel is like 3 nights, by day 4, I get like, okay, I have to go back to work. I think 1 day is too much. I think 2 to 3 days is like really good locally. If you're doing international, maybe do 5 to 7 days or whatever.
Are there other things that you do to decompress?
I read a lot. I think I have been a book reader for quite some time. I think probably it came from my mom, because my mom used to have a lot of books.
Nice.
She used to read, and that used to really irritate me when I was a child, because she always said I'm reading. But somehow I got hooked to it. Even when I was in school, I used to go to library next to my school and read a lot. Even when I was in college, a lot of my classmates used to tease me saying, if somebody says, where can we find Vijay? They'll say, go to library.
Nice.
Right? And somehow books always attracted me. I think these days, the mobile screen time has increased for me. which I really need to cut down.
Yeah.
But I do read a lot, and I love reading history, biography. And I genuinely think people have captured their experiences, their struggles, and their success and their mistakes. And we just don't want to learn from other people. We want to make the same mistakes and then learn from them. And I genuinely believe the best way to learn is to read a book. The worst way to learn is do it, fail it, and then say I learned it.
No, but that is really internalized.
I think that's you're true. I think we don't internalize unless we experience
Absolutely,
it. Right? But I think there is a faster way of it, which is you read it, and as you're executing as well, as you're doing things, let's say you're setting up, you're hiring a lot of salespeople, read about, how other CROs have done, what goes well, what doesn't go well. You're trying to do business with a new country where you have not done a business, right? Just read a book about how to do business with the country. You might learn a thing or two about it, right? How many hours it will take? Like 3 hours, 4 hours, it's worth, really your time, if you're really going to a new country where you want to do business.
Are there some books that have really shaped your
I think,
opinions of things?
So I always like contrarian takes, right? So I hate conventional wisdom. Okay. Because I feel, they generally.
Want to test it out.
I want to test it out. I generally always say, I feel like, okay, we should challenge the conventional wisdom. And I get into trouble for it, by the way, quite a bit. People say, oh, how can you say that? That is so, bad, whatever, right? But I think I love history books. I think one of my favorite books is The Lessons of History, written by Durance. I would highly encourage anyone to, read that book. And I just love reading philosophy and history and autobiographies of people. Even Leonardo's biography is an amazing one. And I think just read biographies, right? I think the worst books to read are, in my opinion, are self-help books. I think history has so much to teach. And we can learn so much. I think Lessons of History is a book that I go back and read almost every year once. I think recently I came across Kevin Kelly's book, about how to lead your life, how to live successfully, etc. Kevin Kelly, the wide author. I think it has so many nuggets. I think one thing that really struck with me when I read that book was when you check into a hotel, know where the fire exit is. Because I stay in so many places. So it's only like 2 lines. Like every page is like a bunch of 2-liners, right? And if you want to be a great father, have a great relationship with your wife. Like some of those things are like very obviously a lot of things we have read, but somebody composed it, right? One of the things is if you have seen one rat in the house, you should assume that there are more rats in the house, right? And so things like that. So that's also one of my recent favorites.
You know that you've read a lot of history. You understand that a lot of things tend to be cyclical. Right? It makes sense. Is there something that we are heading towards that you think should be obvious?
I think, look, I'm terrible at predicting things. Okay. But I generally think if you read history, I think are 2 things you will appreciate. How much people used to struggle and how far we have come as a humans. 2, I also stay in really old hotels, when I travel. And I also appreciate how much modern convenience that we got, right? Even a king, just like few hundred years ago, probably had less luxury than the middle class family today, right? Just the air conditioning, for a hot weather and heat for warm weather, heater for a warm weather, right?
Healthcare,
right? And amazing things, right? I think the change, the rate of change is suddenly reads and looks like accelerating dramatically.
It is.
Right? You almost go back and read books about, things 500 years ago and, read a book 100 years ago and read a book now. The rate of change is big thing. Forget about even 500 years ago. Just go back and look at things 50 years ago and today. We think things are getting worse, but no, things are actually getting better. right? Things are actually getting better in every dimension, right? This is probably the most peaceful year, despite whatever conflict is happening. This is a year probably where we employed more number of humans than we ever employed as a humans, right? This is a year where probably we saved more lives of people than we ever saved. I think things are getting really good. The reason is the acceleration of technology in a lot of different areas, right?
But what if it goes beyond human comprehension?
I think possible, right? See, I read a lot of history. I think humans are like a bunch of
apes.
Atoms coming together. That's why we named it atomic clock. And so if what's the difference between us and the other things in the nature, right? We evolved better or faster, for good or worse. And I think I'm not worried about AI taking over the world, and I'm not worried about AI taking away jobs. I think humans are really, really capable people, and I think we will figure out. And we used to work just 100 years ago. People used to work in a factories, etc., for 80 hours a week. Today, at most places, we work 40-50 hours a week. Right? Why not use AI to get to 20-hour work weeks? Right? Why not? Right? And have a great future. And I'm an optimist about future. Rarely am a pessimist about future. If at all I'm a pessimist about the short term. In a long run, I'm always optimist.
Words to live by.
Right. Thank you.
So is there anything else that is coming up in the future for you or for Atomic Works?
So I think we are basically focused on building, we are making an attempt to build a great company from India and create a new playbook and, really build a world-class software, right? And in the process also build a great company and also inspire more people to go after big opportunities, right? I think with AI, a lot of use case opportunities will go away, a lot of vertical opportunities will come up, and vertical software is a big thing for us and for us as ecosystem, even as a founders, etc. So we can go really deep into customer workflows. From Atomic Work perspective, I'm really enjoying the journey, and I think now I'm at a age where I don't have too much expectations. But I genuinely believe that I'm very impatient for effort. By the way, even if you ask my team, they will say, "Oh my God, he'll push so much, right?" So I'm very impatient to put more effort. I have a lot of patience for results.
Wow, another great line to end this on.
Oh, thank you.
But one last thing, how do people reach out to you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Vijay Rayapati, and I'm on Twitter at Amnigos, AMNIGOS. That's my web pseudonym. People used to use pseudonyms on web. Only recently people started putting their real information on web. So I'm on Twitter at Amnigos and on LinkedIn at Vijay Rayapati.
Thank you, Vijay. It's been an
great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.